Just days away from the Cleveland Browns opener, and I got news for you folks. Jerry Jeudy is going to make a debut like you've never seen before. We're going to talk about it. Your latest Locked On Browns starts now.
You are Locked On Browns, your daily Cleveland Browns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound, LGB on the LOB, the Locked On Browns podcast, brought to the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jeff Lloyd. We appreciate all of you who make Locked On Browns their first listen every single day. The number keep getting higher and higher, become an everydayer. Subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. Do not miss any of the content when it drops. The show is always available. It's always free wherever you get your podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Obviously, we're going to talk a little Jerry Jeudy out of the box here, but we'll start with the Cleveland Browns news of the day. Was First Energy, was Cleveland Browns Stadium, and now at least for the next 2 decades, whether it's here or somewhere else, Huntington Bank Park is the new home for the Cleveland Browns. You want to call it the bank? You want to call it Bank Park? You want to call it the Hunt? You want to call it HBK? I don't care what you call it. I want a ball game there in January. A playoff game in January in that stadium. That's what I want. I don't care what you call it. But naming rights. And the owner, when asked about a nickname, there's no nicknames. But guess the owner's not going to. You can't give yourself a nickname. Everybody knows the deal. You can't give yourself a nickname. So whatever all y'all choose to call it, let's just hope that the name of Huntington Bank Park, which would work very well for a dome as well, is fruitful for the Cleveland Browns. Now, as I said in the open, now going into this game with, of course, the Dallas Cowboys, I really think the opportunity is there for the Browns passing game to go off. I really do. We talked a ton about, where this skill group is, the emergence of David Njoku last year, the consistency of Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper with 5 touchdowns in 2024 will become the first player in NFL history to have 5 touchdowns in his first 10 seasons in the NFL. Pretty damn impressive. Certainly the addition of Jerry Jeudy. Just get a glimpse of this. This is the Dallas Cowboys starting secondary. Trevon Diggs, coming off of ACL surgery. Donovan Wilson, your strong safety. Malik Hooker, former Buckeye. Obviously, injuries certainly derailed what would have been a phenomenal career in the NFL. We all know what he did back in Columbus. Rookie, 5th round pick. 5th round pick. His first reps in the NFL could be against Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, Elijah Moore, you name it. And your nickel corner from the school up north, Jordan Lewis. Now, first things first, Trevon Diggs is a good corner, gets a lot of turnovers. But a guy like Trevon Diggs in a matchup of guys who run routes like Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, certainly Jerry Jeudy, that's a nightmare scenario in my opinion. The safeties, just not that great, The corners, certainly this team is very, very hampered by the loss of Deron Bland, who was just absolutely magical last year. When the ball was in his zone, he all of a sudden turned into Deion Sanders. And not only did he get the ball, he did what Deion Sanders usually did, took it to the house. But there's more about Jerry Jeudy. Now, Jerry Jeudy's career best in the NFL to this point, 67 receptions, 972 yards, and 6 touchdowns. This was done in the 2022 season. I do believe Jerry Jeudy is going to smash each and every one of those records. I believe he's going to put up new career highs across the board in receptions, in yardage, in touchdowns. I believe it is going to start Sunday. against the Dallas Cowboys. I think Jerry Jeudy is absolutely chomping at the bit. Felt, underappreciated, underutilized. Look, at the end of the day, your production is your production, and that is how you were measured. But unfortunately and unfairly at times, you can't throw the ball to yourself. And you look at Cortland Sutton's statistics during the same run in Denver, and nothing's that eye-popping that is going to blow your mind. But then again, Cortland Sutton doesn't seems to get praised for what he did for minimal quarterback play in his time in Denver. Whereas Jerry Jeudy, and this is maybe why he's going to fit in so well with the Browns. Yeah, really, really believe this, because it always seems that, and we saw with Steve Smith certainly, is certain guys just seem to go out of their way to pinpoint certain players in leagues. And certainly, not guilty of the NFL. It's certainly MLB, NBA, heck, even the WNBA, where excuses are either made for or against certain players and their success and their production. But Jerry Jeudy, this is, I don't know if I've ever been more confident. And maybe it's because you guys know, the everydayers know how long I was trying to get Jerry Jeudy here. I had a dalliance for Jerry Jeudy from afar for a very, very long time. Finally, my good buddy, Andrew Berry, made this happen for me. Appreciate you, Andrew. You're a good man. And I think he's just going to be the perfect combination. He's going to come in here. He's a little bit better on the vertical routes than Amari Cooper. And it's not a knock on Coop. It's not. It's just that Coop is so vastly good in everything he does. And, getting a tad bit older now in year 10, Jeudy is probably going to be a more consistent deep threat. And that's fine, because it creates more underneath stuff for Amari Cooper. It creates more underneath stuff for David Njoku, creates more underneath stuff for the backs. It's all there. So Jerry Jeudy, and I'm going to be honest, I mean, you want to tell me Jerry Jeudy is going to show up and go, 7 for 125 in a score in his first Cleveland Browns game? I truly believe that's going to be the case. I think this guy's got a lot to get off his chest. I think this guy feels like he has a lot to prove to the league, certainly to himself, and certainly now for the Cleveland Browns, who have already showed more faith in him in 5 months than the Denver Broncos organization showed to him in 4 full seasons. Jerry Jeudy is going to be a guy, and he's going to be a dude. And I've said it before, and I won't back off of it. I wouldn't be surprised if Jerry Jeudy leads the Browns in several receiving statistical categories this year. I think this is the one move. And everybody, and it's weird, because when people talk about the Browns, like, oh, well, there was no major moves. Well, unlike some, I believe Jerry Jeudy has the potential to be a major move. And the first step towards it being a major move, we're all going to see on Sunday, when this Dallas Cowboys secondary is going to get the culmination of a really, really tough day. This secondary is not ready for what the Cleveland Browns are capable of. We're going to continue on here. Your latest Locked On Browns. We all love Myles Garret. Dallas Cowboys kind of got their own Myles Garret. We're going to talk about that. Your latest Locked On Browns continues. Appreciate everybody for being along for the ride. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, we have something a little different for you. Now, through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then, with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon at a market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel at any time. Just visit FanDuel.com. Download America's #1 sportsbook. Your latest Locked On Browns continues. I am your host, Jeff Lloyd. As always, we appreciate you all for making the show your first listen every single day. If you were not an everydayer by now, make a new plan stand, subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. Do not miss a minute of the action. The show is always available. It is always free wherever you get your podcasts. Sorry, are we getting a little fall allergies? A little damp mornings, man. Getting it already, right? Ragweeds, what they call it. Over the past 3 seasons, we all know how good Myles Garret has been. But over the past 3 seasons, there is another Myles Garret-like player resides playing for the Dallas Cowboys. To this point in his career, it is 40.5 sacks for Micah Parsons. in just 3 seasons. So you see that type of production, and you kind of see just the growth of a guy that is going to be a star for a very, very long time. There is going to be a lot of money thrown Micah Parsons' way. He will be a $100 million pass rusher and worth every single penny. I've said often that I think he comes after the quarterback with bad intentions, Lawrence Taylor-like intentions, early Sean Merriman intentions. Now you look at him and maybe the path that he's on. So, you see that he is on, if this is my 8th season covering the Browns, that means this is Myles Garrett's 8th season within the NFL. We all know Myles is, I think it's either 11.5 or 12.5 sacks away from 100 in his career. So if you see with Micah Parsons at 40.5 through 3, he's kind of on that same trajectory path that Myles Garrett is. Could hit it maybe even a little sooner. Who knows? But, it's it's a special thing when you have this type of ability at the pass rusher situation. It covers a lot of warts. It really, really does. And we've seen, at times where Myles just carried poor defenses. Hell, carried poor offenses. Hell, carried poor teams overall to be in games that they should not have been, just because he had that type of ability. The Cowboys, the way they are constructed, are certainly better constructed than where Myles Garrett was early in his career with the Cleveland Browns. Certainly things got better. But now as we see where Myles is now going into year 8, Myles is in the best part of his own career and the best part of the talent playing around him that he has ever seen, witnessed. And this is what you like to see from guys of this ilk. And, you pay a premium. There's no question about it. You pay a big time premium to have players like this. But you also get the advantage where you have guys like a Zadarius Smith, who could have probably conceivably taken a little bit less to come back to the Cleveland Browns this year. Agbadia Okoronkwo, who could have possibly taken a little bit less on the open market to come play with the Cleveland Browns. The Maurice Hursts of the world, the Shelby Harrises of the world. And that's where one thing it helps you, because right off the bat the team is going to be good. You also know right off the bat if you're getting some statistical carrots as far as your contract and meeting certain productions for, bonus money, so to speak. Ain't nobody double teaming me when I play with Myles Garrett or I play with Micah Parsons. It's just understood. They do win, I would say, in a little bit of different ways. Both certainly can go from the outside to the inside. Both incredible first steps. I would say Micah Parsons, maybe as far as the hand play and the hand on chest, maybe just a little bit more violent, a little bit more, maybe just a little more brute strength. Whereas you watch Myles do it, and it's just so. I don't want to say effortless because it's almost not fair, but it's almost like a work of art with Myles, because you just know how long and lean and overall athletic, in addition to being quick and fast and all those things. And you just see it, and it's just, just that natural. It is just that real. So, for you pass rushing enthusiasts, offensive line enthusiasts, overall, trench play in general, this should be a pretty good game for you. You're going to see some really, really good players. Obviously we mentioned, who the Browns, have Myles running with. Tank Lawrence is certainly a special player in his own right. Diggy Zua is a pretty solid player as well in that Dallas Cowboys defensive line. Cowboys do probably have some issues at linebacker, and their linebackers are not as good as the Cleveland Browns. There is no way their secondary is as good as Cleveland Browns. So I do experience a lot of frustration. Because when you're talking about a game, it's one thing to say this, and this, but then I think the Cowboys will upset them. But it's a whole other thing when, on paper, the game does not look as close as it should be. In a couple of vital positions, the Dallas Cowboys are starting rookies: center, left tackle, corner. Those are vital positions, and these guys may all go on to be hell of a players. But there's just something about stepping out there that first time in an NFL game and just tying the cleats and looking across and going, man, that's Amari Cooper. That's Jerry Jeudy, was first round pick. Or, Tyler Guyton going, man, that is Myles Garret. He was the #1 overall pick. He's about to have 100 sacks. Hall of Famer. It's crazy in that respect. It really, really is. We've talked and hit a little bit on it, and we'll continue throughout as the week goes on here about how this game is going to work, because we all want to talk Myles Garrett and Micah Parsons, obviously. We all want to talk CeeDee Lamb, and we all want to talk the Cleveland Browns wide receivers, understandably so. We all want to talk what we know Dak Prescott most likely can do statistically, because Dak has put up numbers forever. Certainly, what we think Deshaun Watson should be capable of, and I think Deshaun should have a great, great opener, and hopefully can silence some of the critics. Some. We'll just say some, because we know all is probably never going to be the case. But it's going to take some simple things that could really change this game. Whoever's offensive line plays cleaner, whoever finds a way to be better at running the ball. I don't expect either team to run the ball very well. I'm going to be completely honest with you. But somebody, of the mid that I think both teams will give you as far as running the football, which team can get a little bit higher? Which team can somebody smell 4 yards of carry? I don't know. And there's simple things, of course. There's tackling. It is week 1. A lot of guys don't do anything anymore as far as, playing in the preseason, which means if you're not playing in the preseason, you're not really tackling much in practices, or even, team-on-team scrimmages a couple days before the actual preseason game. So there's going to be that aspect to it. But when you have explosive, tremendous guys like Micah Parsons and Myles Garret, either one of these guys is capable of making a play at any point early in the game, late in the game. That can surely be the defining moment. 3rd and 7, key sack for either one of these guys. Strip sack, certainly not certainly a possibility for 2 players of this caliber. When you talk pass rushers in the NFL, you probably, in my opinion, you start with Myles Garret, but you probably only drop 2, 3, maybe 4 names before Micah Parsons gets mentioned. Certainly came from, mostly what we saw him at Penn State was a linebacker. He did do some rushing of the passer. Cowboys basically just took that and said, we know you can play linebacker, but let's see what you got. Is this real? Is this legit? Can you do this at this level? And he started as a rookie and just hasn't stopped. Now going into year 4, soon to be one of the highest paid defensive players, one of the highest paid pass rushers in the entire NFL. Browns going to have their hands full with number 11, Micah Parsons, on Sunday. Whether it's Jack, whether it's Tawan, whether it's him bouncing inside, going against Batonio or Zeller, Batonio or Wyatt Teller, and congratulations to Wyatt on the birth of his daughter. It's going to be a tough one Sunday. But number 11 cannot be the guy you let ruin your day, because Michael Parsons is certainly capable of it. We'll continue on your latest Locked On Browns. Appreciate everybody for sticking around. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit. Only available to U.S. customers. We are closing out your latest Locked On Browns. Your host, Jeff Lloyd. Appreciate you all for making the show your first listen. Become an everydayer. Subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. Make sure you are not missing any of the action. We are days away from the opener, week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys. Of course, the show is always available. It is always free wherever you get your podcasts. There's a couple spots for the Browns that are a couple of players, a couple of positional groups that are certainly on the spot here for the Browns Sunday. I'm going to start on the offensive side of the ball, kind of a little prelude to what I just talked about. We know what David Njoku is capable. We know what the wide receivers are capable of. I think Deshaun Watson is capable of more than some of you people think he is. But it's going to be the running backs. What can Jerome Ford do? And, Jerome certainly had a long time last year getting acclimated to being the lead back. And here we go into this year where he will be the lead back. Eventually, this running back room will be joined by Nick Chubb, and we'll see the way that room plays itself out once that does happen. Hopefully, first week of October, if not maybe a little later than that. But it's not too big for Jerome. Jerome, there were plenty of big games last year where Jerome was lead, bell cow back. Certainly did a nice job for this team last year. The people who are hard on him, I will still not get it. 1,200 total yards, 9 touchdowns. Can receive, can run legit pass routes, not just running back routes. Dante Foreman, appears to, probably going to reprise the Kareem Hunt role wearing that number 27 jersey. Certainly going to have more juice in the legs than we saw from Kareem last year, and certainly the year before that. Certainly runs with a physicality to him. One preseason game where he saw extended action, did a little bit more as a receiver than I thought Dante Foreman was capable of. Do we get, a Pierre Strong role? I'm sure there'll be a touch or two for Pierre, but Pierre's capable. I mean, the guy has legit God-given talent and attributes. It's just kind of getting out of his own way sometimes. Sometimes he's his own worst problem. There's times where he goes out there and he looks every bit of a guy who should be a part of an NFL running back rotation, NFL running back rotation. And then there's times where it's a costly fumble, missed block. If Pierre Strong can be 100% of what Pierre Strong is capable of, Pierre Strong's a good player and should have a pretty good run here in the NFL. But the Browns and their running backs, they got to help this out here a little bit. They got to keep the defense honest. They've got to keep Micah Parsons at bay. They have to, absolutely have to. There has to be some semblance of a running game. The Browns these days are going to be a pass-heavy team. They are going to be a pass-first team. We all know that. We all get it. We know what time it is. But you can't just have guys teeing off. We're not sure what Jack Conklin is going to be capable of at left tackle. We know that Lawrence and certainly Micah Parsons are good pass rushers. So you just can't get these guys getting their ears back all day and just having a field day. You just can't do it. You can't do it to Deshaun. Can't do it to the offensive line. We have no doubt that we have no reassurance that anybody's even ready for this. Nobody's really seen any live bullets yet. So they have to be much better. They have to play collective, and there certainly has to be a semblance of the running game. Defensive side of the ball, it was a tough first year for Juan Thornhill. Dinged up. And even when that time he came back, the one thing that was so impressive, and for me, and if you guys remember me and Pete Smith, we loved Juan Thornhill coming out of Virginia. And the more you dug into Juan Thornhill, you knew he was an elite athlete. You ever get bored, go to YouTube. Watch Juan Thornhill playing high school basketball, and you will understand what kind of ridiculous athlete this dude was. Unfortunately, the calf zapped a lot of his athleticism. And for a lot of Browns last year, and even the Browns who did make it back, there's that question of, you're healthy enough to come back and play, but are you healthy enough to be the best version of yourself? Juan Thornhill was one of those guys, unfortunately, just wasn't. He wasn't able, to basically bust it. When he put his calf down, he just didn't have 100% of the burst he was hoping for. And there were times, where he's trying to run to the angle, to the sidelines, and he just wasn't getting there as quickly as he should. Juan Thornhill is just not a stand on the roof safety. He's not. He can do it, but he's a lot more factor in the run game and run defense than, we were able to see last year in his first year here, due to the injuries. But if you can get a guy like Juan Thornhill kind of cooking on all cylinders after the year that Grant Delpit had last year, you have McLeod there. We know what we've got, certainly, in Denzel Ward and Martin Emerson and, of course, Greg Newsome. Then you're talking about, I don't know, there's a hole with the Browns defense. If Juan Thornhill can get back to what the Browns believe they signed when they jumped in and took him from Kansas City, if he can be that version, I'm not sure there's a hole on this Cleveland Browns defense. I don't know where it would be. Defensive tackles are pretty good. Edge rushers are fantastic. Jordan Hicks and JOK should be phenomenal. Ward, Emerson, Newsome, ridiculous top 3 cornerback trio. Juan Thornhill, Grant Delpit, Rodney McLeod, your top 3 safeties. Are you joking me? The potential is off the rails. But if you can get Juan Thornhill back to 100%, and now year 2, more comfortable in his role here, understanding, what he can do, where he can find his way to give his influence and give his abilities to turn into plays, then you talk about a really good team. We get a lot of AFC North predictions coming out these days, and look, I've been here for months, and I will not budge. If you're not picking the Browns to win the AFC North, you have not done your homework and looked at this team deeply enough. I don't want to hear will they always, or no. These predictions are based on what you see on paper. And on paper, the Cleveland Browns are the best team in the AFC North. Will they put it all to fruition? That's another story. And we're going to go through that story over the next 18 weeks or so. Hopefully, another 4 or 5 after that. I'm your host, Jeff Lloyd. Appreciate everybody who makes Locked On Browns their first listen every single day. The everyday crowd, you guys are a bunch of filthy animals, but you're my filthy animals. Become a filthy animal. Subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. The show is always available. It's always free wherever you get your podcasts. This has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound. LGB on the LOB. Let's go Browns.